going to talk a little bit now about styling text in Ajax enabled pages, and that's an important topic because oftentimes when you want to download text from the server or data from the server and you want to display either that text or else the results of processing that text in a web page, Ajax enabled web page, the user might not notice that you have displayed new text. And so what you might want to do is use a different style or temporarily use a different style to make that text stand out, make the new text stand out. So here's the usual styles you handle text with, and first is font family, and that sets the font, such as Arial or Helvetica. And if you want to set the font to Courier or so forth, then you use a style rule like this, font family : Courier. Notice that if you want to list alternate fonts, the computer your page is operating on is missing your first choice. List them as a comma-separated list like this, font family : your first choice followed by your second choice and so forth, and of course ending with a curly brace, and that's the way you work with font family. And if you're going to have additional style rules after font family, then you can put a semicolon in after your font family list to allow for additional style rules as well. And the font style indicates how text is to be displayed. You can set it to normal, italic, or oblique. So if you want to set the style of text to italic, you can use the font style property. Font weight indicates the boldness or lightness of the text. You can set to normal, which is the default. Bold, so that if you want to make text bold, you can use the font weight style. Bolder, lighter, and these numbers correspond to absolute boldness. And 100 is light, and 900 is most bold. Line height indicates the height of each line. Not all browsers will support that, but it indicates how much space you want to give, how much vertical space you want to give to each line. Font size refers to the size of the text font. By default, that is measured in points, and you can say, for example, 24 or 24 pt. You can set the actual points like that. And text decoration allows you to set the decoration, so-called decoration of the text. You can set to none, underline, overline, line through, which is also called strike through, or blink. And certainly not all browsers are going to support blink, but they will support underline and usually overline. If you want to underline text, you set the text decoration style property to underline, and text align centers text, set to left, right, or center. As a matter of fact, the text align property is supposed to supersede the use of the center HTML element in web pages these days. Okay, so let's take a look at an example, styling text. Here's an example. We're going to put text inside a paragraph, a P element. I'm going to set the P element style here. You see, if the element is already named, then in a style element, you can simply refer to it by name. For example, the styles for all P elements, you do this. You've seen how to work with individual elements who have IDs set to a particular value. This is if you want to set the style for all P elements. You can do it for all div elements and so forth, all H1 elements and so on. So here is the setting. Here's the style settings for the P element. You say font size equals 18 point, makes it 18 points high. Font style is italic. Font family is Helvetica, or Arial, Helvetica. So if browser does not support Arial, then Helvetica will be used. Text align : center, so the text will be centered. That sets the styles for all P elements. You don't need a sharp in this case because you're setting the style for all P elements. Or if you want to set the styles for all H1 elements, you would also not need a sharp because that sets the style for particular elements that have particular IDs. This sets the styles for simply particular elements. You can set the body element styles this way as well. So here's the text we're going to style. As you can see, this text is in italics. That's because the font style of the P element is set to italic. You can also use bold, and that works by using a span element, HTML span element, setting the style attribute to font weight : bold. So that bold will be added to the existing style for the P element, so it'll be italic and bold. This text will be bold and italic. And for that matter, you can also use underlining. And here we're saying span. We're using the style attribute to set the local style to text decoration underline. So this text will be set to italic and underline, as you can see in the results here. So as you can see, this text is italics. You can also use bold. It's bold and italics, and for that matter, you can also use underlining. So that's a good introduction to using text styles in CSS, and It's often important to know because, for example, if you wanted to, you could download text from the server, display that text, and display it in a large font size to make sure the user realizes that text is changed, and then change it back to a normal font size. That's a good introduction to use of what's available for text styles using CSS, and as you can see here are the most common text styles on the screen there, and often used in Ajax applications. We're going to get an example of working with this kind of styling text in a few segments. We're going to see how to make text notice when it's downloaded by changing its color.